I don't know what you think when you hear the word politics. Probably you can ask your neighbor what he thinks when you hear the word politics shortly. Also, but I see that we are not, the Africans are still not here, but I think we will go on now.
Yep, should we ask our neighbor? Or?
We have to ask your neighbor, what do you think about politics?
Christian, you're my neighbor. So what do you think about politics?
What do you think about politics?
I think politics is a way to manage people in the city or in the country. To lead them to respond to the common challenges, I think.
Would you ever like to join politics?
To join politics?
Would you ever like to be part of politics? Or?
Yes, I think we are all politics.
Okay. I guess now, yes, thank you for this intensive discussion. I think that you discussed about Donald Trump. No, I mean, that's a bit a view of politics. But I think it has to do something with Christ, and it has something to do with the Bible and with Christianity. But often what we hear about politics is something what's going on in the world, and we know all this guy here. He will become probably president again, 2024. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a prophet. I cannot say that. Yeah, but so that's sometimes the picture what we have. So I have a little joke for you and for the beginning. So what is the difference between a politician and an actor? So here the answer, the actor is paid poorly for his great performance, and the politician is paid well for his poor performance.
Wow, that's a good one.
That's the view often of us, or politicians. I don't think Donald Trump is so evil as we think he is. He has a personal deficit, of course he has, but who has it not? And on this position, it's also hard to really stand. But I think, yeah, our view is often just, is it good for me? Is it good? And politicians have to see the big picture, and this makes often so a different view. So let's first focus on what does it really mean, politics. Also, that's from the Greek. It's a Greek word. It means affair of the city, making decision in a group. And that's actually where it's come from. So, and where do we do decisions in a group? Wow, or in a family. As I would more say, create order is a good thing. So we think about government, but government have to create order, but also businesses or associations, churches, families, and even yourself, you have to create an order, and there is a relationship between you, the creation, and the creator, and also there. And when you not have order in your house, also when your political system in yourself is not in order, then don't go to family. And when it's not order in your family, then go to churches, and then in the end, don't go to public. This is also the advice of the Bible. Bring first order to yourself and to your family before becoming a leader. So I think politics has more to do with creating order, and this is the main thing, and this has a lot to do with the Bible, or does it? But what we do now here is we talk more about now the order in government, in a political system that we have in a nation. But just to give you the big picture, so it means actually bring order, and so you are probably not called to government, but you are called to be a father. You are called to bring order in your working place. You are called to bring order in every group that you are part of it. So this means this, and we should learn how politics looks more for out of this perspective. Say, wow, it's to bring order, and so how can I bring the best order? And of course, the order of God that He created, because Himself is a politician, or He created order in the world. There was chaos, and He created the order, and He created man and wife, and He created all of that. So politics is something that actually everybody from us is involved. The question is just on which level are you involved, and not all are on the level of government. Here in Switzerland, we have the privilege that every citizen here is involved somehow in the government, because our voting system that I will explain later. So politics has something to do with to create order, and this has something to do with God. And we should think about what is God's order for this world. So I have a little video clip from Frank Buchmann. I think this was the last reformation in our political system, or here in the West. It's coming from 1937. It's something, or also it's coming from 1900, I think 39 or 37. So listen what he said. Very old video.
I hope that by the time I finish speaking, some of you will have made a decision. Some have come hoping to be changed. Some of you come here with the hope that you will learn to change others. The danger is that some of you want to stop there. I am tremendously interested in a third point: how to save a crumbling civilization. Then I want to reach the millions of the world. The next step is revolution. It is uncomfortable. I'm not here to make you comfortable. I'm not here to make you like me. I'm going to promise you one thing. I am not turning back. I'm not turning back, no matter who does, no matter what it is going to cost.
This is Jeff Fountain mentioned that. The revolution is called the moral rearmament revolution. It's not a revolution with weapons, it's a moral revolution. what he's talking about. So he said, probably heard the 3 steps. Do you remember the 3 steps? Some came to this meeting. It was a meeting with a lot of people. They came, and he gave a speech. And this rearmament movement, they like Jeff Fountain talked about, it was the foundation of the freedom that we have today. And I will not go back to the stories because he told you that. But he said 3 things, or probably you came for what?
Change yourself.
To change yourself, or you came to second one?
Change the others.
Change the others, or the third one? We came to bring healing to the nation, to this crumbling system that this was there in the war, the beginning of the war, or between the Russians, or the atheistic movement, the Russian socialism was not working, and then on the other side you have Hitler and all that. And he said we need a rearmament, a moral rearmament, a moral revolution. This is the only thing that can help us. And this movement then led to, this is the famous speech of this Frank Buchmann, who led them to this organization. Yeah, and so my question to you: why are you here in the SPCW? You want to change yourself? Okay, good. Yeah, you want to change others? I'm not so sure. How does it work? It's a question about leadership as well. But we are here to bring healing to the nations, to learn how we can bring order to the nations, that that they can function in a right thing. And so therefore we need a rearmament of moral rearmament. We need a moral revolution. The main point is not the system itself, it's the ideas. We have to understand God and His creative and have to learn to really commit to Him. So therefore we are here, and I hope this can help you a bit. So my first question is there's a T here, so it should not be there, but is democracy a good system? Now we're talking now about government, and our Western, the Western ideas in democracy is good, and that is what the UN promote, and they want to bring everywhere a liberal democracy system. But is it really the best? Is it really from the Bible? Why do they claim that this is so good? But what we see today in the world is a declining of democracy. The totalitarian systems are coming, also China, Russia, but also I say that in the first teaching, or it's in Africa, the revolution, the dictatorship, everything is coming, and it's growing. And so today, is democracy really the best system? Or why did it work, and why it's no more working? Or is it no more working? A lot of questions. So in the Western society, we have this in our booklet, democracy is the best system. And we think it is, but there are many questions behind.
Yes, I think it also, I don't know, I mean, I always heard or I believe that democracy, everybody should have a voice. We should be able to say, I think it also has to do something how when there was king and one person ruling or one family, how they treated. And as you said, that too much power is not good.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why it's changed into democracy, or that's why people start liking. I don't know, you could.
Yeah, we come to that. Yes, you are right. You are right. But what we see today that in a lot of countries it's not working.
Yeah.
And the question is, why is it not working? So I just ask you a bit question to think about, not necessarily to give all the answers now. But if we never ask the question, is democracy really the right system, and we just take it as a right system, then we probably never understand why it's functional or not. So here Churchill said that. Can somebody read that?
Indeed, it has been said that democracy is the worst form of government, except for all those other forms that have been tried from time to time.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it's the worst form of government, but there is no other. and why he said that, I will explain it to you. Also, just Winston Churchill, probably he was not so committed Christian. When you know his life, he was really, he had really a free life. He was very addicted to alcohol and smoking and all of these things, and other things. But I think he was also not made for democracy. So he was prime minister, but they kicked him out because it didn't work. But then the war broke out, and they made him prime minister again, and it worked because he didn't understand democracy. But in a war, it's really difficult to have a democracy, because when the enemy is knocking on your door, then you cannot go back and say, I just have to talk first with all my parliamentarians what he will do, or then you have to act or react or whatever. But I see democracy works not in every time, or it is not always the best, but a time of war is also not good. Let's say like that. So I mean, I still have to view that democracy is the best system when we have freedom. When there is not freedom, then probably it's not. But look a bit closer. Also, democracy is not a guarantee of freedom. Freedom is a guarantee of democracy. So that's for me. So I think I hope you understand that word. So I mean, the West don't understand that. They go to Afghanistan, the Middle East, Africa. They want to establish a democratic system and say, okay, then we will have freedom. But it doesn't work, or it didn't work. You could see that. Let's see the chaos in Afghanistan, Iraq, in the Middle East, everywhere. And so, because the misunderstanding is that they do not understand. First, you have to create people who can live in freedom, and they can build up a system of democracy. So, do you see it's to change, or we cannot put the system and they have freedom? First, we need to have people who understand how to live in freedom, and they build up a democracy. And I have a little video here. It's a bit fast, but I think it's really good. So, at explaining about democracy here. Oh, why is it in the middle? So, do you have tone?
Yeah.
No, there is no tone.
It's not playing.
It comes from the Greek words of demos, which means people, and kratos, which means power or rule. So, democracy basically means the rule of the people. Democracy first started as a direct democracy in Greek cities, notably ancient Athens, where people came together to speak about their concerns and opinions in front of rulers of the city-state, and directly voted on new rules and laws. Here is considered as the birthplace of democracy. For the very first time, decisions were made by the people instead of rulers. But sadly, the ancient Greeks did not see all people equally. Slaves, women, children, and the people who did not have a land weren't allowed to vote. This is what we call a flawed democracy today. After the Greeks lost their power and influence in the 1st century AD, their early forms of democracy were also fading away until the Magna Carta was signed in 1215, which prevented the King of England to do whatever he wanted and said that even the king had to follow the country's rules and laws which were written in the Constitution. Today, most democracies are indirect or representative, which means that you can't vote for a new law yourself, but you can vote for people who then become lawmakers and present your interests. But democracy isn't just about voting. It's about everything to protect the best interests of the people, no matter what is their race, gender, political opinion, or religion. These interests can be human rights, quality of life, infrastructure, and many more. Modern democracies divide power into 3 different branches: the legislative, the people who make the law; the executive, the people who make sure that you obey the law; and the judiciary, who judge you if you commit a crime. These 3 are independent and work following the process, checks and balances, which means all the work must be clear and fair. And very important, the people who have power also must follow the law and not exceed their authority. In addition, a democratic government must work in a way that reflects the wish, feeling, desire, and values of the society that it governs. This is also known as the general will, which is a concept developed by the famous Swiss philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau. One of the problems of democratic voting is that the biggest groups of people always have the most power, and that's why a good democracy also has laws to protect the rights of its smaller and weaker groups. A democracy where the majority chooses to separate, expel, or injure its minority is not a functioning democracy. So, what do you think now about democracy? Winston Churchill once said, "Democracy is the worst form of government, except for all those other forms that have been tried from time to time." Do you agree?
Yes. Also, here, now how can I go back to that? From here. Okay. Yeah, so he say it comes from the Greek word demos, that means people. People and kratos means rule. Also, the people have to rule. People have to say. And you saw that in the video. There are some problems because the Chinese, they look to China. China don't believe in democracy. They look to the West and say these stupid people, and especially the Swiss who have direct democracy, because everybody can say what he wants, but the rule is by the people. Or everybody say what he wants, and then we have a chaos. They can stand up, say we want to have the right for abortion, we want to have the right for homosexual marriage, we want to have the right to change to a girl or to change to a boy, we want to have the right for this, we want to have the right for that. And if you want to, let's say now we want to build solar panels in the Alps for making more renewable energy, then the Green Party stand up, say, no, you will destroy the Alps, and this doesn't fit, it will not look like. So everybody can stand up, and the Chinese say, yeah, they block themselves. It ended in a chaos. How can they say that's the best system? And a lot of people follow China and see that the West is falling in a chaos. And the Arabic nations, they say, hey, look to your democratical system. You can say, okay, yeah, the women have all the rights, but look, your families cannot stay together, they divorce, your families fell apart, and you are not able to produce children, you are not able to produce for the next generation, and you want to tell us about this democratical system and about human rights? Come forget it. We have to accept now, I would say since 2020, this awareness came that we felt as a West to bring democracy. Because what we do, bring democracy, will end in a chaos. And this is also with the whole thing of globalization, who would fit in that, or globalization, we open all the borders, and now the companies or we have no more borders for the financial flow and for investors, and we have, let's say that we open the border. We now have a treaty with India made on the weekend.
About what?
No, the whole treaty. Also, I don't know what everything is in it, but that we not have taxes or not have to pay taxes for import that or export that and so on. So, but the problem is that, yeah, you open all that, but it could be that the farmers in Switzerland, let's say, the farmers can no more produce the goods because the Indian farmers produce is much cheaper and they can import it. So, I mean, this will all create conflicts. Mm-hmm. And actually, with globalization, the danger is there that the richest get richer and the ones who are poor, they will lose. And especially by farming, and so the big industries can produce a lot of meat. And then the other thing is, in this globalization, then let's say Brazil, they have other conditions, other rules to produce meat, can do it much cheaper and can give antibiotica to cows or other things. And we are not allowed, and we have to produce in certain rules. So it's more expensive for us, and therefore we cannot sell our meat. I mean, that's now looking to Switzerland, but this problem Mexico has. Mexico made the treaty with America, but America can now deliver cheaper maize, and so the Mexicans can no more, the poorest people are the maize farmers, but they can no more produce the maize because nobody's buying it anymore, and so on and so on. I mean, with this liberalization or with this democracy that everybody has right, it seems that this is no more working. And we have to understand that. So, but I tell you now, how does it can work? Because I believe the problem is that we left the foundation of this whole liberal democracy idea, and this is the Bible, and this is God. And that we lose the fear of God, and therefore the systems cannot work anymore. So here we were in Murten, we saw this guy. It's written there, God the Lord has put duties first, after duties only come rights, after sowing comes reaping. And we often forget that, that first we have to obey, we have to do our duties before we can have. But this idea of democracy and human rights is everybody wants to have rights. And the right, I want to be right, I want to have according to mine. But where is the duty in all of that? And that it cannot work when everybody wants to have right is absolutely clear. And so the Chinese, they understand it much better than we do. And this is, when we not take the duties, then we don't have the rights. And this is a biblical Christian worldview, I would say. That this means it can also turn to the other side that we say, okay, when you are poor, then this is your problem. We all have to take self-responsibility. But this is not meant with that. So in the Bible, you read Deuteronomy. The social system was that the poor people could go to the countryside and select what was left over by the farmers. So they have to do something more. But we should really take care of the poor people or the people who are disabled or people who cannot work or things. It's not against the social system, or please understand me right. But we all have first to start, we take our responsibility before we have the rights. And this is something that we can often not say. Also, when, let's say, a worker is coming, say, or is not coming to work and say he's sick, how can I make sure, is he really sick or is he just lazy, who don't want to come? Or how can I make sure that? I mean, this has to do with the fear of God. Or when first, everybody has to take self-responsibility. And you look to me so holy now, but I tell you, we are so creative to find excuses why we don't want to do things. So, but the fear of God put us before God, but we take responsibility first for ourselves instead of finding excusing and not go to work when we say we are sick. But this is a concept that I think that only Christians can teach in the end, that you stand before something higher that's over you and you have to give responsibility to this. Why didn't democracy work in Greek? So we saw the video out of two reasons. There was no common law. They didn't say it in the video, but it was no common law. Or they just had, okay, the people discussed together, but in the end, Socrates was there as they developed this democracy, and Socrates said to them, it's not better than a dictatorship or a monarchy, because the powerful will always be about the minority. And when you don't have a law to protect the minority, then the powerful will win. So it's actually a dictatorship of many, and before it was a dictatorship of one. But it's not really better. So they didn't have a common law where, or they have not human rights. We are all agreed, and this was in the video, we saw that, or this was only for at least for 10 to 20% of the society. They were called equal, but the rest, they were women, children, slaves, and all, or farmers, all the people who not had property in a city, they were not called in this democratic system. So they actually had no human right, and they had no common law. So therefore it couldn't work. When we go to the Roman Empire that came after the Greek, and they didn't call it a democracy, they call it a republic, or the Republic of Rome was actually the first republic. And a republic means it's it's public. So the decision that you make is public, so people can see. But I learned a lot from the Greeks, and so the separation of power was divorced, but it didn't work. Also, there was a common law, but they learned that. They had the 12 tablets. We will come to that. But you see what they had a common law, but there were no human rights. That all were equal before God. There were some human rights for citizens. You probably know that, and Paul appealed to the human rights, or to the rights that he's a citizen of the Roman Empire, and therefore he can appeal to the Caesar. Probably you know about the story in the Bible. And they had nobody who controlled the one who controls. Man, this is the problem. They had nothing over people. Then in the end, it was the same as a dictatorship. In the end, it ended somewhere. Who decided? Because it makes sense for you. Somebody has to make a decision. And when there is no God to make the final decision, then it's man. And so it ended in the same system. And so the Republic of Rome fell, and they turned back to a monarchy, where the Caesar then had the highest power. And this was in the time of Jesus, before they turned again to a monarchy. And then we read the stories of Jesus, they again had a Caesar. And the Caesars then called them as well God. But when there is nothing over people, I mean, you can change the system how you want. You always end in a power game of people. So just have the 12 tablets law from the Romans. I just want to give you a bit insight. So I took some out of this. If somebody accuse another or theft who was not caught in the act, the thief shall be compensated with double the value of the stolen goods. So my question to you, how does it sound? How does it sound? Did you read something like this?
Didn't Jesus say the same to the tax collector?
No, but the Old Testament says it. It's a law from the Old Testament. I mean, actually, the Romans had that. I assume that they had it from the Jewish. And so another one is, can you read that, please? Somebody for me?
If someone has committed a theft at night and has been struck dead, he shall be justly struck dead.
Justly struck. So how does it sound?
It's Old Testament.
It's Old Testament. Oh. And this one?
If someone is attacked by a thief in broad daylight, he may, if he is armed and defends himself, kill the intruder and shall call in the people in the neighborhood for help or as witnesses.
Yeah. Again, sound like the Old Testament. It's not directly, but I assume that they learned something from the Old Testament. And I say this is exactly that. But God gave us the law, and this was directly spoken by Him. He gave us the law. There is something over people, a human right that we all have to hold on. So He gave us this law, and so the Romans take it from them. So the Western Roman Empire also failed because it didn't work, and it ended also in a chaos, because it was a lot of corruption, a power game, and so. And just a little history, as a 312 after Jesus Christ, and Rome accepted then Christianity. Before it was forbidden, they persecuted the Christians, but they saw something. What do they saw? They understand the Christians are able, working together, they are able to take care of one another. the Christians were a testimony. So the Christians, even they had courts. And when the Romans, they want to have a justice court, they didn't go to the Romans, they went to the Christians. So the Christians build a system. When the people are poor, they could go to the Christians. There was a social network. They meet had fellowships together. They looked for one another. They took care of one another, and so on and so on. And the Roman Empire saw that this system is working and their system is not working. So that was Caesar Constantine who then allowed that, and then 394 they made Christianity as a state religion. And a lot of Christians say, yeah, that's the worst thing that's happened. And now it's politics and Christianity is together and is mixed and it's no more clear. And of course, there is a danger that you mix that too much and lose Christianity. But I think it was also a mandate that God gave now to the Christian society. Hey, now you have now the mandate to build politics. So there was then the separation of West and East Roman Empire and so on. And lastly, the Germans conquered Rome, and they took then the Christians who were in Rome and spread them through whole Europe. And these Christians became then the tutor of the children because they could read, they could write. They were much better educated than the Germans, the barbarians. And so through that, Christianity spread through whole Europe. And Europe became slowly more and more a Christian nation. And the Christians start to build societies. Mainly they started first with building a mosque, a monastery. First they built a monastery, and we saw that in Murten, and they protected the whole city, and the city was inside, and later they built a castle for the king. But it was the Christians' idea to build society came out through that. So Christianity took over Europe, but it ended also in corruption. And it didn't end in democracy, it ended in the corruption. And so my big question is why? Why? Also, there was a common law now. There was a Bible. The Ten Commandments was not from man, but what was bought, and they stand over them. They had a human right, or that everybody is equal. We will come to that, see it in the Bible. And then, but the problem is how to control the one who controls. This was the big question, and it ended in the Pope, or the Pope decided everything, and in the end, people had to pay for their salvation. And it was a lot of corruption. The church lived in luxury, but most of the people were poor, and the church oppressed them. And the problem is that the people could not read and write. They didn't understand the Bible, and the priests, they can say whatever they want. They could say, okay, you have to pay for your salvation. How can you test that when you can read and write? And then the real transition came then with the Reformation, with the Bible. When the Bible was translated in the common language that people could understand. They could understand. And this means that not just the priest can read the Bible and then tell it to the people. So the really democratical system is the Bible. So the Bible makes sure that everybody can hear God's word. So in the Bible of John Wycliffe, who was one of the first reformers, he died because of persecution, and the Bible was burned, and it was forbidden to translate the Bible in England. So this Bible is for the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So this is would say, a democratical statement. So for having a democracy possible, you need a common law that stands over the people, and that everybody have to know, can read, can test, can criticize, and that not somebody can say it's there. So this was the real transition for a good democratic system. Everybody needs to have access to this Bible. So coming now to the question where the human rights are coming from. So I say it's coming from the Bible, so I prove this now to you. So people want to believe it's coming from the natural law, today in our secular world, but when you look to nature, there is no human rights there. I mean, the stronger eat the weaker, the bear eat the sheep, or the wolf eat the goat, I don't know. But you cannot have a human right and say, okay, wolf, stay there, it's not allowed. And nature will not take care of any laws that we made or that we have. It's just, I mean, they have the laws of nature that they cannot do it because nature don't allow it to do. But you see, it cannot come from nature. When you look at the evolution theory, who claim that we are just a process of nature, and human came out of nature, I mean, why then we not act like nature? Why do we have patience, and why do we love people or act differently and accept people even they are our enemies and so on and so on? I mean, it cannot come out of nature, and also it cannot come out of democracy. We already saw that. I mean, in a democracy, always the stronger will win over the weaker. So how can they create in a law that protects the weaker? Does it make sense? It's not possible. So it has to come from somewhere else. I think this is one of the most important letters in the Bible who bring us to the human rights is coming from Paul. Can somebody read that first statement from here? I take some out of, I mean, the Roman is much, much bigger, so I take some out just to make the points. Who can read for me? Moni, do you want to read again?
God's righteousness through the faithfulness of Jesus the Messiah for all who believe, for there is no distinction among people, since all have sinned and continue to fall short of God's glory. By his grace they are justified freely through the redemption that is in the Messiah Jesus.
So his point is, everybody is a sinner and everybody needs forgiveness. There is not a single person who can say, I don't need that forgiveness of Jesus Christ. And this is the same forgiveness for everybody. There is no distinction. There is no difference. And this is actually what Jesus Christ made on the cross. There is no more distinction between Greek and Jewish and so on. So, and the point, what he made, the point is, we are all sinners. So we are all sinners. So we not have to claim I'm better than the other. And we all need the same forgiveness. And this makes the foundation of human rights. So the next one, can you read them?
Because all of you are one in the Messiah Jesus. The person is no longer a Jew or a Greek, a slave or a free person, a male or a female. And if you belong to the Messiah, then you are Abraham's descendants, indeed, and heirs according to the promise.
So he made now the point. When you belong to Jesus Christ, then we are all united. So actually, Jesus Christ is the beginning of human rights. So he hanged on the cross, made us all the same. There is no more difference between the Jewish and the Greek. And you saw that in the letter of the New Testament, that almost in every letter it is, or Paul, mainly in the letter of Paul, he addressed this issue that the Jewish still think we are better than the Greek, and again want to put a war into it. And still today there are people, and in the whole debate with Israel, it's a debate. As long as we think Israel is good, the Palestinians, they are the evil, there will be no freedom. But we have churches, Christian churches in Israel, we have Christian churches in Palestine. I mean, we have to learn to think differently. But the Jewish now, the extreme Jewish government, or they will not accept the two-state solution, or don't want to have the Palestinians and the Hamas, or they don't want to have the Jewish state. But I mean, as long as we think like this, there is no freedom possible. The same thing I would say in the Ukraine war. I'm so tired to hear the Western perspective on the Ukraine, because I think we really misunderstood it. I would say the one who has no sins should throw the first stone, because the West made so many mistakes, and we so many times we broke this international law. Not just Russia. I don't say Russia is better, but as long we not see our own sin, as long as we think we are better, and I can talk now hours about all the things that the West did. I mean, look to Afghanistan, look to Iraq, all the messes that I did. They had around 70 overthrows of governments since the Second World War. It is all against the international law. And they sometimes they did it really in a brutal way. They killed a lot of people. The CIA, they have the license to kill. But nobody is reacting. And this Iraq, or stepping in Iraq, claiming they have these biological weapons or chemical weapons, and it was not true, and everybody knows it, but it was just a hidden agenda. It was against the international law. And what they did so many things. They have now found that they have 12 CIA bases in the Ukraine was forbidden since 10 years, or against the international law. But I think that I don't want to go too deep in that. But I think that the problem is that we still think one is better, and one is good and one is bad. The same with not Obama, with Donald Trump. He's not all evil, but I think he really has a deficit. Of course, but I think one is good, one is bad. It will not function. The same is it with left and right, or I mean, what Switzerland, why we are really strong is because in Switzerland we are able to make compromises, and this makes us so unique. We never have a general strike in Switzerland. We had one. It was 1918. It was the last one, but it ended in a good compromise. But we never had it again. But when you look to Germany, probably heard the story. Germany. So they have a strike of the farmers, they have a strike of the train, they have a strike of the flights. So I will not book my flights over Germany again, because you never know if they strike. The same happened in France, in Italy, everywhere. But I think that the problem behind this is always we are good, the others are bad, and just see your position, your rights, what you want to have, you never will find freedom. So I think Paul was absolutely right in understanding we are all one in Jesus Christ. But when we not have Jesus Christ, then we have a problem. Because this is what unites us, to know we are sinners and we all need the same forgiveness. There is a president and there is a child, and both of them need the same forgiveness. There's somebody who lives in poverty, somebody is, I don't know, Elon Musk or so. Both need the same. They have nothing more. When they stand in front of the cross, they have nothing more to give. And here is another word coming out of Genesis, probably you can read that as well.
God created mankind in his own image. In his own image, God created them. He created them male and female. God blessed these humans by saying to them, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, and subdue it.
Yeah, so the last thing that I would mention here is that we are all made by God. So here I put that together with we are all made by God. We are His children and His children partner. I mean, everybody, every human have this spirit in this sense, or let's say this ability to have the Spirit of God. We have we are children, even we don't believe in Jesus or we are far away, but there is still something in us. And this makes us unique. We are all the same. Even you look black and I look white, even you are Arabic, all are the same. And because we are all coming from the same, we can live in unity. So the second one, we are all sinners, or we are all sinners, and when we are honest, we like to look first for ourselves. Is it not like this? Because this fallenness in us makes us so self-centered that we look for our rights, for this. And we learned that by Ellis Porter, or he wants to make us that we start to learn to see what is the need of others, that we are able to see the needs of others and not just our own, that we are able to bring politics or to bring order. And a politician has to stay there and he represents the people and not himself. So, and the last one, we are all human things and we need the forgiveness. And these three things make us unique, or give us the human right. So I put again a statement from myself to summarize that. Moni, do you want to?
Each and every one of us holds equal value and worth, standing on equal ground before one another. We are all regarded as princes and princesses of the King. At the same time, we all recognize our inherent imperfections and know we need forgiveness.
Yeah, it's just so a bit of summary from my side. So, I mean, this made democracy possible. And the first really modern democracy was the Geneva Catechism, also actually the constitution of the Church of Geneva, who was based on separation of power, of human rights, of an absolute law as a constitution, and of a voting system, so that the people have to vote. And this was then, this is considered as the first democratical and modern constitution of the world. So we will not go deeply into all of that details. So you can ask me, I have more of that if you want to hear more of that. So before the break, actually, Switzerland was the first democratic system. This was 1291. They made a letter. Switzerland became independent from the Germans and the Austrians, or the Austrians, yes, and they made a letter of, let's say, a democratic letter, and they start the letter, of course, in God's name. So they say foreign church should not rule over us. We can rule ourselves. I mean, this is from this time on, the Swiss system was so different. Everywhere around Switzerland, they had kings. And everywhere they had the ruler, it determined, but the Swiss started to believe we can rule ourselves. We don't want to have foreign judges, or we don't want to have people over us, they are not from us. So, and the Switzerland is very interesting how they came then together in this, and they had they had really a biblical system, or the families sent a representative to this association in the community, and then they sent a representation before the parliament or before the meeting of the Swiss. And so they had this idea of the Bible, or where God told Moses at the first yet, told Moses, so you should have a leader over 10, 50, or what is 10, 1500 or I think. Yeah, so I mean, this was then so idea, and of course, when you can ask, yeah, how they choose the representative, it's clear they vote for him. It was a voting system, so they choose somebody who then have to go and bring the report to the government. So actually, it was Switzerland, and then in the end they say this regulation show God will endure forever, and I think this is very interesting. I mean, they thought our system is so good because it's from God, but we are not 100% sure if we understood it right. But when it's from you, it should endure forever. So they were really committed, and still Switzerland today, after 750 years, we never changed this system. Well, of course, it became more professionalized and it's become modern and so on and so on. And today it's secular, but actually we never changed the system that we can take care of ourselves. We don't need a ruler over us, or let's say we don't need a king because Jesus is our king or God is our king. And so there was they didn't have, they had, this was the constitution, of course, but they didn't have a lot of law. They didn't have all of the things. But I think it's really a unique example of that. Okay, now we do a break. Thank you very much for listening on the national level, because I think it's really something that impacts everything. And therefore, I think it's very important that we as Christians understand. So my opinion to all the question about Ukraine and Israel is the problem is that we divide the world in good and bad. And the one who say these are the bad, let's say the Palestinians are the bad guys, so we have to kill them, or the Hamas, and the Hamas say, yeah, Israel, we do not accept Israel. And then behind stand on one side the Americans who support Israel and so on. But we have to understand there are on both sides, they have Christian churches or no more. In Palestine there are no more churches. But so that's the conflict. The foundation, I really believe that we have to understand we are all the same, and we are all sinners. We all need forgiveness. And so sit together, be able to listen to one another and learn to make a compromise. As long as we just look for ourselves, for our interest, freedom will not be possible. So that is the fundament of our political system. So we will go then to Bern on Wednesday to the government building. So we see that there's the fountain. Moses is there, and he put with the finger on the second law. So do you know what is the second law from the 10 Commandments?
Love your neighbor.
No, the second law from 10 Commandments.
You shall not have any. Shall not murder.
No, as the first one is what? You should have no other gods.
Yes, you should not worship any other god.
Yeah, and the second one is
You should not make idols.
you should not make an image of something else. So that's one of, I think it's one of the most important law for a political system. So the interpretation of this law, I would say, we say, okay, you should not make an image, you should not paint a picture of Jesus Christ, or that's not the point of the law. I think it's more that you are not able to paint the whole picture and say, I know everything, or I know everything. You are not able. You cannot do that. You should never say I understand everything. I can paint the whole picture. So don't make that. We need one another. We need other perspectives, and we need always to renew our mind. That really then a system is possible, that we can work in freedom together. So I think the second law, make no image, has a lot to do with humble yourself. Humble yourself and don't think I know everything. So when we not start there and let's say start democracy is the best system, we have to say, probably it's not. So let's have some arguments. Let's have some people who think some differently and listen to them. When we are not willing to do that, then we cannot work together. So therefore, this is the advice from God. We should not put an idol. We should not make an idol or paint the picture. Yeah, good. Here this year we didn't visit the Supreme Court in Switzerland. So the Supreme Court where these women of justice put the sword to the Bible. So the Bible is the absolute true, and everybody, this is big, huge in front of the court hall. And so everybody who went into the hall had to go under this picture and get the remind. So everything what you say here is judged by the Bible. So the judge is actually the Bible, and not just the law or so. It's the Bible presented by the Creator. So
the last something I cannot read or even see.
Yeah, that's just the title of the picture, and this was from 1905. Okay. The righteous of the people from Paul Robert. Justice lifts the nation. It's called in English. Yeah. So why did it work? There was a common law. It was the Bible. There were human rights. All are equal before the law. That's what the Bible is telling us. And power was separated. Because now everybody could, with the Bible in their hand, stand up and say it's wrong. Everybody could bring an argument. Everybody was able to read then because the Bible was translated in their language. So therefore, the Western society worked. And this, I believe, is the foundation for when we talk then about the liberal democracy or about the Western society, the system that the UN want to promote, the human rights and so. This is the fundament. The system can work. And when this is no more there, this fundament, then we don't have to wonder why it's not working anymore. Why we are not able to build a democracy system in Afghanistan or in the Middle East or now in Africa. A lot of African nations go back to totalitarianism. And why we are not able to convince the Chinese people or the Russians or the Brazils or Argentina or whatever who is now a part of the BRICS nation, why can we not convince them about that human rights and democracy would be the best system? Because we don't know anymore where it's coming from. So therefore, we are called as Christians to step into democracy, into politics, because we are the one who really understand it. And I guess that Donald Trump cannot save the system. and also others in the German, Olaf Scholz, or I don't know, they cannot save the system. For me, their perspective is really wrong. So I think it would be the Christians, and I hope that, like we had it in let's say what was it, 75 years ago, where there was this rearmament, the moral rearmament, this movement, who really brought a change in the world, that this can happen again, and we can then we can be part of that. So we are invited. We can be part of that. Actually, what we need is just believe that God is the creator, God is the lawgiver. We create that, and we have to be called by God. Of course, I'm just out of myself. So Yeah, just an example here to tell you how important it is to have the fear of God. So imagine you are Emmanuel, you are a butcher.
Imagine
you are a butcher and Christian is a farmer. So the farmer brings the cow to the butcher. So my question is now, how can you make sure that he gives you all the meat when you butcher the cow, and not put some meat in his pocket, right? How you can make sure, Christian? How can you do that?
I have to verify if all the part of the animal is included in the meat.
Yeah, but this is very hard.
But
in the end, you from this to this is a bit hard to find out. Or even you cannot weigh the cow and then weigh the meat because a lot of bones and things are in it. I mean, actually, it's almost impossible. But what you can do, install a camera.
Even with camera, if he wants to steal, he can do that.
Okay, then you need a controller.
The control is cannot
bribe.
work as well.
Like a
But
drone.
I just
Yeah,
need
drone.
to trust to him or to just to
So you see how complicated it is. But what we do now is say, okay, we need camera, we need a controller, and then we need a controller who control the controller, and then we need a law, a justice, and we need to go to the court. We need a lawyer who help us to defend our part. You see, we build up a system, and in the end, the system costs more than the meat, just to make sure that the other is not cheating you. And this is what's happening in the world, in the Western society. You can see, we have this liberation, everybody is doing what he wants, but it didn't work. And so we built up more control, just to control that they do not evil. The question would just be who controls and the one who controls. And this is dangerous because in the end it ends in dictatorship, because somebody has to decide and somebody stay on it. So, but when there is no God, then it's actually no other way. But let's say there is a God, and the farmer and the butcher are sitting in the same church, and the priest is shouting, "You should not steal, you should not lie, you should love your neighbor." When you do that, Christian, then you have problem with the Almighty One. And the Christian said, "Oh no, I don't want to have a problem with the Almighty One. No. And so, and he looked to Emmanuel, or say, "Did you hear? Also, when you cheat me, then you will have problem with the Almighty One. And because you know that he has the fear of God and don't want to have problem with the Almighty One, you trust him. Does it make sense? Mm-hmm. The same Emmanuel is looking to you. Christian, did you hear it? When you bring me the cow, then don't bring the 1.5 year, bring only the 1 year cow. Don't cheat me in that, or something like this, or otherwise you have problem with the Almighty One. So as long you know that Emmanuel has the fear of God, you trust it. Emmanuel, does it make sense? And as long you believe that Christian has the fear of God, you can trust it. But when this fear of God is away, and it gets complicated, then you need a controller, you need a system, and in the end it costs more. It costs more than it really the meat itself. So I believe that really this the fear of God, that the Bible who in the end created it, hold the society together and let us live in freedom and order. Okay, now I'm Swiss, so I will now speak a bit about Switzerland. We had this view when we was in Lenk, probably you remember.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, we remember.
I think Switzerland, I don't want to say we Swiss are now the good people. I always, when I'm in Africa, I always say, if you want to be corrupt in Switzerland, you have to be very smart. If you want to be corrupt in Africa, you just have to be corrupt. And this is the thing, that we are not better people, but the system don't allow us to be corrupt, almost not to be corrupt. And I think that's the point that Christians really have to understand. It's not just about morality. To understand the cross means also to build a system to hinder corruption, a system that can hinder the best corruption. It's not actually, when you go in a corrupt nation, then probably you will become corrupt. And everybody of us will become corrupt, because it's really a danger. So Christians, mainly the Reformation, they understood, no, we have to build a system that hinders corruption. Because everybody is corrupt. Everybody is a sinner. Everybody needs forgiveness. Don't look to me so holy. You need it, Christian, you need. If you have too much power, it's not good. Therefore, power has to be separated. But this is a really Christian understanding on. It's not good when people have too much power because they are sinners. And so Switzerland, I think, is one of the best systems in the world, when not the best system in the world, who really understood to apply the cross in a system. Today we are a secular world, and the problem is that we also lose Christianity, but we have still high values that are in our constitution, that are in our system, that still give us a lot of freedom and order. And so I want to speak a bit about that, just to help you to understand how you can apply it in a law like this. Okay. Yeah, but just that's beginning. It was Switzerland was built on the cross. It this was the belief in this biblical system, and so therefore I think Switzerland is not better. We are not better people, but I think we have really good system that represent God the best. Therefore, we will go now into that. We have a Swiss hymn, and here is the Swiss hymn. I will play the song, but it's in German. Therefore, here are the words, and you can follow the words. It's actually a psalm where the Swiss pray to God. Here our Swiss hymn.
Tritt die Morgenrot daher, seh ich dich im Strahlenmeer, dich, du hoch erhabene, herrliche. Wenn der Abendwind sich rührt, bietet freie Schweizer bietet eure fromme Seele an, eure fromme Seele an, Gott im Herrenvaterland, Gott den Herrn im
Tabea Legler 43.
So actually, it came out of in the year 1834, I think. it was a revolution went on in whole Europe. And so the Swiss said, now we need God. We cannot solve the problem by ourselves, and we need God. And since then, this is our national prayer. We have a national prayer day where we really say we need God. And it's still today we have this hymn, and we have the national prayer day. So and you see a lot of things are coming from Christianity. Here here is the prayer day, or the letter of the prayer day, because we have sinned, or they saw this as a punishment from God, and so they knew we now have to come back to God. And this was 1832, also not that long ago, where the Swiss really believed that. Good. Now coming to principles of a good functional democratical system. You see here that's the government building that we will visit on Wednesday, and you see up on the government building is what?
Flag of Switzerland.
No, the cross.
Cross, yeah.
Or really the up thing is the cross. I mean, just to represent, we have a religious background, and of course it is Christianity and nothing else.
Is your flag square?
Yeah, our flag is square. This is not the right flag. Okay. Yeah, this is not. Our flag is square, like the Nepal flag. So it's square. So Switzerland is not a one language, one people group, and one culture, but one nation. So it's really because Switzerland is not a group together where only one culture or one people group or one language or so. It's a nation, and what holding it together? It was Christianity. Christianity hold it together. So the identity of Switzerland was not in the language, was not in the group, in the culture. It was we had a national identity. This was Jesus Christ, and this holds us together. All are the same. If you speak French or Italian or German or even Romansh, and we're all the same. And this was the national identity of Switzerland. So I think this is the first principle. So the first principle is what often the America did, or let's say the West did, Yugoslavia. So Yugoslavia, they made then countries like this is Bosnia-Herzegovina, this is this group, we make this group. But it's very complicated, because when you look that the nation should be the groups or the language, then you always have conflict, because you have in this area, you have then a minority of the other group, because not all of this group of people live here, they are mixed. So, and when you start to make borders between them, then you already create a conflict. And I think this happened in the Middle East, this happened in Yugoslavia, this happened in Africa. So then you go on and say, okay, the identity of a nation is the people group or the culture, the tribe. Then simply you start on the wrong place. This is not really can build up a nation. So you need something that is higher than that. So Switzerland is is a very good functioning nation with different people. So Switzerland had the first constitution in Europe, or the second one in the world. I mean, America was first, but when all the others had they had a monarchy, they want to destroy the monarchy and want to become a democracy, or want to become like they had a constitution and separation of power. It didn't work, and this was in Europe was this great revolution time. But Switzerland, they could do it because they didn't have a king. They never had a king, and so they say, wow, it makes sense to have a constitution who really put the rights, because just have the Bible. The Bible was written so long, 3,500 years ago, Enderman was written in this culture, in this time, for these people. And so for now, in today, we have to rethink a lot, and we have to create new laws and new definitions. And so to make a constitution, it's the right thing. So here in the constitution, also it starts as well in the name of God. And here is one sentence out of the preamble. The strength of the people is measured by the well-being of his wicked member. I mean, this is a very strong statement of unity.
Strength of the people, or strength of the nation?
Yeah.
Huh? Strength of the people.
The strength of the people.
Okay.
So we are so strong, so measured by the weakest in our society. That means when we want to be strong, then we have to invest in the weakest. We help them. We cannot become strong by ourselves. Does it make sense? We can only become strong when we all together become stronger. So I think that's one thing of identity for the Swiss people, and you can look in your constitutions then if you find something like this in the preamble. So the preamble is the introduction, and it's very important to see in the preamble what is your vision of the mission. So our preamble is longer, so I just took one sentence out of it. So, and this is the first principle I said. So we need an identity, and this is going to be just people groups or just languages. So our identity is something higher that I will ask that bind us together. And this was Christianity, who gave us this human right. Everybody is the same. Everybody is the same. Everybody needs forgiveness. So the second principle is then the separation of power. And Switzerland is very unique because we not have one president. We have actually 7 members of the council. So, and everybody of them have the same right. That means when there is a decision to make, then they can only have one voice. They get locked in a room, they discuss, and then they come out, they can only have one vote. And they are from the left to the right wings, and you understand that they often have not the same opinion. Of course not, contradicting, but according to the constitution, they are forced to work in unity. Unity in diversity. So a good principle, because the Swiss people say 1848, it's not good to have a system like America with this president who has so much power. The power has to be shared because people are sinners. And it's not good when one has too much power. So therefore we have 7 and not just one. And they have to share the power with one another. And this is functioning very well. Today we are one of the most well nation in the world. We have the most of the stability and so on. You can look to all the statistics, and Switzerland is almost everywhere on the top. So I think it has to do a lot with this political system, that this is unity in diversity. Here is the constitution, what it say. The Federal Council decide as a colleague and communicate in unity. It's just what they say. This is what is written in the Constitution. The Federal Council consists of 7 members, or the members of the Federal Council are elected by the Federal Assembly after every renewal of the National Council. Care must be taken to ensure that the regions and the language religions are adequately represented. So they get elected by the parliament, and this system, I would say, it's also a wise system, because let's say America, they get voted by the people. And what he's doing 1 year is just running around in the whole country and make advertising for this election. this, you don't have to do that in Switzerland. It's useless because the parliament, these 250 members, they know exactly who can take that, who is able to do that, and you cannot manipulate them. Also, you can do it in a little way, of course, but actually, so in Switzerland, you will probably never have a Donald Trump. And yeah, actually, I don't know, but I think this makes. And when you have one, then he is only one of them. And this makes the things not so easy, or because he cannot decide everything. I think it's a really good system. So the separation of power is my second principle that I would lay for a good working system. Here we will see the ceiling of the parliament. It says one for all and all for one, as unus pro omnibus and omnes pro uno. It's in Latin written, but this is what Switzerland stays for all, and represented through the 7 annual council.
Who chooses the parliament?
Other the people, they choose parliament. There are 2 chambers. One is representing of the state, and the other is representing of the people. Okay, a third principle is then what is very important, that everybody feel as a part of government. So when you only say, they do anyway what they want to do. But when you really want to build a good system, then you have to create ownership of the people, that they feel a part of this system, that they feel a part. So Switzerland has a really, really good system. And they have the optional referendum. That means when there is a voting in the parliament about a law, then when we are not agreed as people, then we can stand up and can select 50,000 votes, and in 100 days, and then there will be a public voting about that. So when we stand over the parliament, all the Swiss citizens, they stay over the parliament. So when there will be 50,000 voters sign in 100 days, and there will be a public voting. So the parliament have always make sure that the people stand behind them. They cannot do something that is against the people. And often this happens. We have 4 times a year we have votings, and we can vote. And we did it last week. There was a voting, then we could vote against or for it. So this happen, but it is very good, because I get all the material that the MP also get to read through it, as I have an app today where everything is on it. So I know exactly the most important decisions that Switzerland is making. I also receive all the information, and I also have the opportunity to say yes and no. I also have the opportunity to write posts or articles against or for it. And I am in a debate. So I was several times in a debate with the MPs about this or that. So we are all part of the system. Even you don't win, but we are a part of the system, and in the end we are accepting the stronger will win. But do you see that is the more important than the voting on win or not, is to be involved in the political debate. And so I would say, I am allowed to say that the Swiss are the cleverest political people. No, because who of you know the debates that they have in your parliament? Who of you knows them? And you can know it, you can read it, but in this system you really get the information, and you could be a part of the whole discussions, and this makes you very smart, because you learn about that. You get equipped, and I know political systems much better than most in the world, only because I had the opportunity to be a part of it. Not all of the Swiss take this opportunity, of course, but a lot do. So I think the second one is then popular initiative, you need 100,000 signatures, but then you can change the constitution. The parliament cannot change the constitution, only the people. So if you think there was a debate about minarets, also minarets are the tower of the mosques, that's called minarets, and then there was people say, no, we don't want to have that in Switzerland, we are a Christian nation, and they said, but we need to put that in the constitution. And so they selected more than 100,000, and then it was a public voting, and what do you think who won? No, actually, it's now not allowed to build minarets in Switzerland. So the Muslims cannot build the towers that you see everywhere in the world, are not allowed to do it in Switzerland. So we have the right, and we I mean, there was also the most of this referendum on initiative, I would say I lost. Because there was, let's say, there was about marriage for all, or the parliament decided there is marriage for all. We were disagreeing. We select 50,000 signatures, and then there was public voting, but we lost in the end. Because the minority want to have marriage for all, also homosexual marriages, and so on and so on. But we can be a part of the decision, and this makes us really clever and equip us. And I think for good stability, make sure that you involve the people in your system. And this is not, what I say here is not just for government, it also can be in your church, in your family, in everywhere. This system integrate the people, let them be a part of the system. When they feel they have nothing to say, they anyway do what they want. You really have to force them then to do things. But when we are Swiss, we decided it by ourselves, so we are actually the one who did the decision. So I think that's the fourth one is a federalistic state. So we are one nation. We have 26 states, and we have 2,222 communities. And you can see that here, just what is in the constitution, the cantons shall be sovereign in so. Oh, can you read that, Mike?
The cantons shall be sovereign in so far as the sovereignty is not limited by the federal constitution. They shall exercise all rights not vested in the confederation.
Also, the meaning is the states should be independent, or as much they can. And the idea is that you put it on the deepest level as possible. Your decision, not make decision on the top, make decision on the bottom. So, like Moses, or they should decide by themselves. When they are not able to rule that, they should bring it to the next level. So they should decide it there. You know the passage, or in Deuteronomy. Then they should bring it to the next level, and so on. So it's also an idea from the Bible that the work is done where the responsibility is, or the decision is done where the responsibility is, and not make decision where you don't have responsibility for it. So making decisions about farmer when you don't have idea of farming, it will be not good. It will create a conflict from the beginning. So this federalistic on this level is very important. We have still today, we have in 2 states, we have this here, and this is then where the whole people come and vote. They vote publicly, and then yes, and then somebody count all the votes, and then the no. So, I mean, it's just to see that's in 2 states, but when it's come to community, so I'm a part here of the community, and we have this instead of I can go and vote like this in the community.
This is voting for what?
Yeah, I mean for a law. I don't know what kind of law.
Okay.
Yeah. But actually, they try to involve people into politics. So I'm a part of there is a setup is not deciding everything. So I'm a part, I can say yes or no. And everybody who is citizens here can be part of this decision making. So probably when you once have time or here, Sima, you can come once with me for the Gemeindeversammlung, for the assembly of the community. But this is very important. Involve your people. So just to see this federalistic in finances, often you see the finances will give you a good idea how does it work. So confederation, 30% of the taxes go to the state, 40% go to the canton, and 30% go to the communities. So you just see how these responsibility are shared. So not 100% go to the nation. You can reflect that in the tax system. So how much power that the different level have. So with this, I think it's the next, that this principle really involves the people and have this federalistic system where the work is, where the decision is done, where you have the word or the responsibility. So I think separation of power is horizontal. Also horizontal, we heard about legislative, judicative, and judiciary. You have it there, and then on vertical is on this federalistic. You have the state, you have the nation, the states, and the community, and so forth. But make sure that you have this separation of power. So and again, where does it come from? The separation of power. So because on one side we are all sinners, and it's not good that one have too much power coming out from the Bible. But the other thing is that it's not good when I decide over others. So the Bible wants to empower you, that you are free and can your decision, and everybody's responsible direct in front of God, and not to the priests or to see. So first direct to God, and therefore give him so much as possible. Give him something to do and decide by themselves. And when it's not possible, then bring it on the next level or the community, and then bring it to the state, and then bring it to the nation. So this is a very, very important. And so the fifth one is transparency and accountability. So when also in Africa, or you have a system of separation power, probably you have a federalistic system, but it didn't work. Why it didn't work? It's what I say, you cannot put the system over people. You first have to equip the people that they create their own system. So a system will not save them. So what Switzerland did, also we will visit the parliament, and in front of the parliament building, there are these two people sitting there, and they present the value of Switzerland. So the first one on the left side, is it left? Yeah, on the left side, and we show the book. And so it says everything is public, everything what they decide, people can read, can observe, there is nothing hidden. So in our parliament, we have a really, really boring parliament. Depending to England, if you once hear the parliament in England, it's really great. Okay, shouting, but this will not happen in Switzerland. So Switzerland, we are just a debate. We are just a parliament where you already did the decision before, and you come together just for the public, just that it's public, that everyone who has an opinion can listen, and the press can record it, and then it's become public. So when we go, then you will see most of them, they do not listen, they do their work, they have their computer, they read their newspaper, they talk with one another. I mean, And then she makes like this, and then it's a voting, and everybody's coming, push the button, and then the theater is going on again. But the point is, because they already know what they will vote. Also, sometimes there are critical situations where it's different. But most of the time you will see and observe that it's like this. Or because our system is not a debating system, our system say, no, we make the decision, it's public, but now the parliament is just there to make it public. Everybody can observe. We as an observer can be there, can listen to, can see everybody's voting. So in the order we present that everything is written down. Everything is public, everything is written down. So every decision, everything what we say is written down, and you can then look to it. Yeah, and see, we will, yeah, here it's just what is in the Constitution. Yeah, and here as well, a principle from the Constitution, state action must be in the public interest of balance. So the Constitution are values. These are, let's say, are the 10 commandments of the Bible. So this is the moral, when you say 10 commandments are the moral foundation, and then the law are the applied law. It's the same in the state. The Constitution are laying the principles, but then you have the law books who are then the applied law, tell you what's happened when you follow the values of the Constitution. So everything what is in the law book has to be in the Constitution. So the Constitution say you should murder, and then the law say what's happened when you murder, what is the definition of murder, when is it an accident or was it really murder, and then all of that will be regulated then in law. Good. Here you can see, this is also what we can see is then when they vote, then we can see the no, the yes, and the people do not vote. Here you cannot see because of the color, it looks a lot. Did not do vote, but this is not true, it's just a color. But everything is public, so everything you can look to. So I think that this principle is really make it public, that the people have responsibility to what they say, to what they do. In Switzerland, there was one from Geneva. Somebody paid a journey for him and his family, and for 40,000 to Dubai, a holiday. 40. Yeah, but he, as a politician, is not allowed to do that because you can create conflicts. And so there's a clear rule. So how much is a gift that you can receive as a parliamentarian? But when you take more, then it's a problem. So he was then really kicked out. Or just to say, I mean, he was a candidate of becoming councillor, all of the 7. But when something like this, I think probably it would not happen in Africa. But this is very important that there is a openness, transparency, and when something is wrong, then even probably, I don't know, was it morally wrong? What kind was behind it? We don't know. But it was not allowed to do according to the law. And when it's not allowed according to the law, then it needs to have a punishment. And when you start to try to find out about immorality, was he a Christian or not? And when he was a Christian, was okay. Then you need a law system that is functioning and say no, when it's according to the law. The same is when you drive. I heard from a missionary, he came to a meeting, was a bit late, and then he drove too fast. And then the radar blicked him, or took a picture from him. Then he stood up and prayed for the machine. Oh, Father. And he told this in the meeting, I was there, or he told the story and said, oh, okay, but I think you get the ticket. That has nothing to do with your morality or not. because this is the rule, this is the order. When you start to do that, then it becomes very complicated. There was a lady in America, probably Ruth, do you know the name of this lady? She killed her kids, and she was in prison in Texas, and then she received the death penalty. I forget the name of her, but it's very famous story. To get the death penalty, and then she became Christian in the prison, and then Billy Graham, he had millions and millions. He had really influence. So he stood up and he claimed that we should lift her free because she became Christians. So in this time, the only one who can release her would be the governor, and this was President Bush. Indeed, this time it was governor from Texas. So then, as I heard this from his counselor, who was actually the founder of SPCW, Glenn Martin, who stood here and told this story. So, and then he said, no, I will not release her. And the point was because when he do it, then everybody will become Christian in a prison. And how can you check that somebody become Christian? This is not the role of the state. The state's role is to bring justice. And I mean, when you start to do compromise like this, then I mean, it will be endless. And everybody claimed, and I became Christian in the prison just to get released. I mean, the thing is, it is hard, or it's hard, but for this woman was also very hard to live further because of her pain that she did to her kids and so on. But I think we live for eternity, and anyway, I mean, her is forgiven. But I think that we really have to learn that we not make compromise or mix that together, that we really need to have a justice system, otherwise it wouldn't work. So 6 principle, and not one gets all. I mean, that's America typically, or you see, they vote for Trump, so Trump release all the ministers from the Democrats, or I don't know if he do it, but he will rebuild the whole system, and all thing what the Democrats did, he will put it again and put it then in his direction, and after him the Democrat come and put again all in the other direction. And probably if you follow the American politics, you know what I'm talking about. Obamacare is one thing, or all this. So in Switzerland it will not happen, because not one get all. And I think that's very important, that you build a system where people are integrated, and we have this, in the council we have from the left to the right party, so and they build a stable foundation that we can grow. It's a bit slower because they have to become agreed, people can vote against it, for it. So actually our democratic system is very low, but I think it's very good. It brings stability. But it will not function in a war time. So in our constitution, when there is a war, then we have the council will choose a general, less than the whole authority, because it's will work in wartime. But to building up a nation, I think it's a very good system. So what we also have is this is not, but we have also this majority voting. Where do I have that? Let's see. I don't have. Okay then. But we have in our system that that when there is a voting for the parliament, that first we vote for the party. We will not vote for people, we vote for the party, and the party then decide the party in the party, when the party gets now 4 seats, then the one who won in the party will receive the seat. So, and when you have a majority system, then it means the one who has the most vote will be elected, and the others have nothing. So and so I think it's a really good system that you not vote for yourself, that you vote first for the party, and then it's decided on by the parties. This party had 5 seats, so they get 5. So in the sense, we are a small party where I'm in. I was the president of a small party, and in such a system, we can also have a parliamentarian in, because he's probably not too like others, voting like others, but as a group, we're doing more than others. Do you understand that? As a group, we can make 5, or we did in our state, we have now 7 seats, or as a group, we can make 7 seats. But when there would be just a majority voting, then we have nothing, because we will not have an individual who is on the high, like others who have a big party, have more votes. Do you get that? So this system is built that not one get all, and I think if you have one get all, then the others can go in the opposition. The others get angry. But when you think how can we distribute that not everybody gets all, then this would be a wise system. So this system also in Germany, you know the correlation. They need to have the majority in the parliament that they can vote, and therefore they have to do with the Green Party together. And so you know it's not just Switzerland to have this system. But I think this is really important, and in everything what we do, if this is in WAWAM or everywhere else, that you think about that you create a system that not one get all and the others get nothing. Good, our political system is born out of the Bible. So another quote from Vishal Mangalwadi: democracy is not made because it is the best system, it is made because we are all sinners. I already said that, and I think he's really right. Democracy is not just to win, it's made for sinners. So you can have a political system, you can build a system for sinners, or you can build a system by sinners. So the question is, what do you want? Do you understand? You can build a system by sinners, or you can build a system for sinners. And I think it's much better to build a system for sinners, where we make sure that separation of power is done, transparency is there, that not everybody get all these principles that I shared you. I not say that's the only one, but I think that's the most important. So a system is not making people, there are some people making a system. So always have to understand that a system just put in Africa, what we tried to do didn't work, and it will not work, because first we have to help people to understand how is a democratic system working, where the human rights are coming from before they give them human rights. Good. So politics is not about power, it's about people. The statement. So people receive power to empower people. Another quote. And so if you want to receive power because you want to have power, then this is not good. Mm-hmm. In every organization, everywhere. So we get power, or we get a position to empower people, and this should be always our motivation. So I heard that in Malawi, or politicians should take care of the people and of their elections. Yeah, now Biden has to travel around, and I mean it's all about how he can please the people that they elect him. Yeah. Or this is from Jesus Christ: it shall not be this way among you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you, you must be your servant. And whoever wants to be first among you must be your servant. So this is the foundation, I think, of a political system. So, I mean, we have the system. What we need to have first is understanding and this attitude. to have position is to empowering people, to serve people. So here, you know this guy, Indian. Who is
Rishi
Sunak? Yeah, he is now the Prime Minister from the UK. You can think what you want about him, I will not come to that. But it's called the Prime Minister. So what means Prime Minister? Where does it come from? Meaning the first servant. I mean, actually, it's come out of Reformation of the idea. So the one who's leading the country is not the leader or the power man. He is the first servant, like Jesus was. If you want to be great, so become a servant. And this should be the attitude. And as long as we could talk with Rishi Sunak about that, I don't know if he knows that. But yeah, then this will function. Or always get in mind, so a political system can only work when we are servants, and this attitude is in us. And through a transparency, we always get stopped when we probably have the wrong attitude, because this standing behind this political system or democratic system, so that we are servants. So a politician makes sure that people can do their business in the best possible way to create value for others. So the leaders say this I took from the internet. So the servant leader is there, then the team members is carrying the team members, and actual team members carrying the citizens. So it's actually the servant leader, the minister, prime minister, should take care of his minister or his people, and they are serving them the citizens, and not the citizens serve the leaders. So this is a biblical system that will work. And out of this understanding, then this system of democracy, of separation of power, get developed. So I think we can. Okay, yeah, here from Benjamin, I will leave this out because he is coming, and probably he will do it anyway. But here, this is mine on me. People have to believe it before they have it. So first, we have to understand win-win situation. So life is not a gaming or losing or winning. So when we believe in God as our creator, and he gave us, we can believe that he gave enough, he has enough for everybody. He is the creator. We are not in a closed system, we are in an open system where he can give. And therefore, we don't have to be afraid to lose. So there's a book from John Maxwell that says, you're winning or you are learning. Try to never lose. When you not have success, it means you learn something. And probably you learn more than when you win. And when you win, then you can be happy about that you win. So, but we need this win-win perspective. And I think this is deep in our culture, this win-win. So when you go to a business seminar, they will talk about this win-win. You cannot win customers when you think win-lose. You need to give them something that they profit, and in the end that they feel good. So, and then both of them do a good business. But this I'm not so finding in Africa. In Africa, I think, and probably also in not Christians influenced nations or parts of the world, it's more this, I win and then others lose. So in Arabic cultures, I mean, that's typically for the Arabic culture. They cannot think in a democratic way. They think either we win or the other win. And when we are not win, then we lose. And when you don't want to be a loser, then you have to be a winner. It means you have to oppress the others and stop them that they not can win. Otherwise, we will lose. So it's a win-lose. But I think with Jesus Christ, to understand him, to understand the Creator, that there is enough for everybody, we don't have to fight in that. And we know winning will be when you are serving. You will be happy, you will be fulfilled when you help others, when you serve. And when you want to win, you will never win. That's also in business, say when you want to win, you will never win. The one who will win is the one who is ready to make mistakes. Is ready to lose, or is ready to make mistakes in the sense of not be successful, but is ready to stand up again and forgive himself and others. So win-win mindset. The second one is how one to be a leader should be a servant, or not just win-win. I win and you win. It's also okay. Probably I don't win, but the most important thing is serving other people and not looking for my own interest. So we know that from the Bible, from Jesus Christ. So next one is synergy. Together we are stronger. So you can serve people, but you still not can work with people together. Because you are so different, you think, I never can work with these people together. But you can serve them, and serve them a coffee and so. But actually, God's idea is that we work together, that we learn from one another, and not just think like only work with them together who have my opinion. So, and this is the one step more. So the last one would then have a long-term perspective. That hey, what I do, the success that I have is for eternity. It's not just for now, to make my people happy or myself happy, or so. It's for long term. And this is also coming from Christianity, about the resurrection of Jesus Christ. We living in God's kingdom, He will restore His whole creation. We are a part of it. And therefore, everything what we are doing is for long term. It's for eternity. What you are doing is already for eternity. And this perspective helps us to build up for long term and not just look, oh, how can we solve the problem now? And I think when you have now these four perspectives, that's what I think. And when you have this four perspectives, then this is a good foundation for then really have a position and use the position then to empower other people. Okay, so I think I finish here. The last one, this is then really how you can build freedom and order together in a balance. So thank you very much, and I will now give back to Monique.